Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence with your host, Shane.
Great job.
There you go. Did I get the tone right? Did I get the pitch?
Yeah, you did it perfectly.
The drop it at the end, like it's hot. Yeah.
That's perfect. Awesome. How are you guys doing? It's
Yay.
Tuesday.
Hello, everyone. We missed last week, but we didn't miss each other. We had a little chat, you and me. But it was a little bit of a hectic day. So, yeah. So we have a bit of catching up for everybody else to do today, I think.
Yeah. And I must say that it's like we had this beautiful weather up until Friday morning. It was like 70, and by the afternoon it got down in the 40s. And I wish I knew Celsius. Sorry, guys. It just went from nice to not so nice, right?
Yeah.
So
we same here. It's
yeah.
actually a little bit of snow coming down right now as I'm looking out the window.
Wow, it's actually been
That just
drizzling
started.
here.
Like a wet flurry snow. Wow.
I think if it was colder here,
There
we'd
we
also
go.
have that. Yeah, because it's like now it's
Mm-hmm.
down close to freezing. And the last few days, I've been feeling pretty tired. I've been like hitting the sack at like 9 at night, 9 p.m., which I never do. And then like waking up for a few hours in the middle of the night and then sleeping again and maybe even taking a nap in the afternoon. I know I'm over 8 hours because normally I'm 7 or 8 hours is what I typically get.
Yeah.
But man, it's like, I know one night I had to have slept like, gosh, 8 hours and then took a nap, another hour or something. So 9, maybe even 10 hours. Just crazy. Just feeling heavy, feeling like, oh, I just got.
Yeah.
I felt like that right before we were going to go live. I was like, oh, I sure could use a nap right now. But we already missed last week, so I'll tough it out. But yeah.
We've already somewhat agreed that I may be doing more of the talking in this show today, but yeah,
That's perfect, though, because
that's
you had
okay.
stuff for last week and then,
Yeah,
that we didn't get to
yeah,
cover live. So definitely.
yeah.
So
But I
as
know.
far as symptoms go, that's pretty much it for me. I've had I'm still getting like waves of nausea and just not very hungry, or like having a huge appetite and then not being able to eat very much afterwards. But I have been eating less, so maybe my stomach shrunk, but I still get hungry and can't eat as much. So
Yes.
I don't really know, but it's just waves. It's not like I'm sitting around feeling nauseous all the time. I know it'll be gone in a few minutes. You know what I mean? So it's not like I even need to
Yeah.
tend to it or anything. And it's not like I feel like, oh my gosh, I need to run to the bathroom. It's not that bad. It's just a little hint of feeling a
Motion
little
sickness.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad it
Yeah.
isn't bad because I hate to feel like that. So it's really just really minor. I usually use it as like a little time to take one of those conscious breaths and get some water, drink more water. But
Yeah.
that's
Be
pretty much
present
it.
with what your body needs at that moment. It may just be quiet
Hmm.
to you know, these energies can almost like overstimulate and stuff sometimes too. And I notice that you just have to shut everything off and just breathe for a little bit and it'll subside. But that I do think like these waves, we were talking about, we sort of had these breaks in between, and yeah, they'd come in and hit us hard and last a few days or whatever, and move out, and then we'd sort of plateau for a bit. But I really feel like it's just condensed and condensed, and now it's just like labor pains where you start off 8 minutes apart, and and then at the end of labor they're just all together, there is no break in between. And I really do feel like it's like that now. It's just this constant flux in and out, and so it really just requires me being present with whatever's required at that time to move it through.
Hmm.
And as long as I continue to do that, I'm aware. Sometimes, sometimes it's coming in, it's a little harder on the head, and there's a lot of stimulation or neck pressure or, different things going on
Yep.
with that. Oh, a lot of clicking in the ears. I've had clicking, popping sensations, almost like wind blowing sensations, like we talked about, but not on we didn't do the show last week, right? So I have to
Right.
remember what I've said to you,
Good
but
luck
haven't
with
shared with everybody else.
that.
But
Don't worry
almost like,
about don't worry about repeating yourself because sometimes people miss stuff anyway, and So yeah,
thanks,
just.
bro. Thanks, bro.
And
But
I
it
do
was
want to chime in. Serge is saying a lot of energy cleanup is going on worldwide. I slept a lot
purging.
as well. Um,
Yeah, lots of purging.
yeah.
They're purging it, but I feel like it's coming in like really quick. Comes in, and but it's it's back out. We're not stuck in a purge mode. Like there really is the condensed, like the energy comes in. Yes, it pushes us down a little bit. We feel that heaviness.
Yeah.
um I think a lot of work at that time is done in dreams and
Mm-hmm.
going into timelines and going in and helping other people energetically, as far as being in this net
Or just
and sort of
alchemizing. Yeah.
unraveling. Yeah.
Transmuting stuff. Because I wake up
Yeah,
sweaty
exactly.
sometimes after my nap. It's like, what the heck was going on? You know, it's like
The
you could
sweat
tell you
is a
were
really
burning
good
some
one. I'm
calories.
glad you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find with certain energy, like the sweat is like almost like, sorry, it's a bit gross, but wake up feeling like a wet dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's almost like an odor to it too. That's different. Like I notice that when this like energy comes in and yeah, you just sweat like it's crazy. So, but then it passes and then there's a lift
Right.
and I can feel the energy like coming up and pushing up and then feeling really light, on the old opposite end of the scale. Like I'm practically floating. Am I levitating yet? Like, and just the moving through reality in a very dreamlike, floaty sort of state inside of this detached thing. So and then I'm and then boom, it comes back in again. And so it's just being really, present and recognizing, what's going on. And if you have to stop, like don't get too far outside of yourself,
Right.
and it's like, okay, I need to breathe a little more, or if it bottlenecks up in here, take some time to meditate and really focus on passing that energy, through you, whatever way works for you. Grounding techniques, sometimes it needs to be grounded in, and sometimes it needs to go this way. so
Right.
so it's really a matter of spending time with yourself to feel like, where is it bottling up, what is it, where is it working through, and just using a lot of great visuals to um, really alchemically affect our body, like change our cells, just like those water experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the energy, focus on your cells, naming them how you want them to feel, and feeling those colors or energy that gives you release, and 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 pushing that through and spending time doing it. So in some ways it's getting easier to manage, even though it's more consistent,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
you
think it's
know?
just a matter of like, not only is there a lot of shifting going on, but shifting into those higher vibrations, those higher frequencies that are there. I think it's, when you're talking about how it's increasing, I think of like, how the Bible talks about, um, increasing like birth pains. It uses that, because that's how the
That's
contractions
right.
in labor come, and it's like they increase, and
Yeah.
then that sort of that space between it kind of vanishes, and then there's the birth, and you've
Yeah.
even been talking about this whole birth thing and the water thing for a while now, and I
Long
think it even
time.
ties into Dr. Kalaman's work with the ninth wave coming in, and when you looked at all these different waves, the unity or the Christ wave that's coming in, it happens a lot more frequently. The cycles in that happen a lot more frequently than the previous eighth wave. So everything is sort of pointing to this. I mean, and that's available, and it's just more like we have to tap into it, I guess, by what he was explaining. It's there, but we're not used to being tapped into it, so we have to shift our perspective. And that's really what we talk about doing all the time. So I really think everybody's sort of talking about the same thing. We all have little
Mm-hmm.
pieces of the puzzle, and it's really cool to actually see it all playing out right now. Because it can look like utter chaos on one level, right? But then you can really see how
Yeah.
we've reached this tipping point within human consciousness where people are really beginning to wake up. And sure, there's a lot of shocking stuff, but that's what was needed to get people to, we respond to shocking things. So it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, the shadows have to come up and out and be seen and be named for what they are, and to be transmuted and released, and it's a process that we have to do internally. And then as we do so, we see the physical manifested results of that coming forth in the greater society. But the process itself starts within. So, seeing these things come out and come to light is is what's going on in consciousness itself. So it's really just an affirmation of um, all of the shadows within ourselves, and sort of coming to a reckoning with that,
Mm-hmm.
and moving forward, right? So yeah. And not being locked in, in the story, like seeing it on a greater scale, when you can step back and see like the cycles through time energetically, and the symbolic language that moves us through it, the story, the greater story uh, that it's telling,
Mm-hmm.
um, then you're not lost in the individual stories, the
Mm-hmm.
individual perspective, right? So
Like
it
Janine's saying,
helps.
we awaken through trauma. We really do. I mean, how many wake up calls is it, that you have during some horrible accident or a near death experience or some type of trauma, that sort of wakes you up in that moment. And you're like, wow, it's surreal. And you start to think of things differently. And I think that's what's happening. How can you not think of things differently when you look at everything going on around you? And how can you not notice it at this point? It's so obvious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On one
Yeah.
level or another,
Exactly.
even if you sort of believe the main line thing, I mean, still, that's enough to make you start questioning things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where do we go
So,
from there?
I
so
wanted to,
so
we wanted to get into dreams, definitely.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Because you had one
Did
you
you have one
didn't,
you want to share? Yeah, I
I,
did, and we'll talk about that. So with this increase of these waves coming in, so are the dreams,
mm-hmm,
and especially specifically the dreams, energetic dreams, dreams of levitating, feeling the vibration, being in a state of embodiment. So, um, I'm seeing lots of examples for that, myself, that theme's coming up, and I'm seeing it repeatedly through friends that share their dreams with me as well too. So I imagine you guys may be experiencing that as well. Are you having more dreams where you're possibly levitating, or something's changed, you're experiencing a change reality, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really happening, like the dream is so real, it's so lucid, and also having evidence to show other people. That seems to be a theme that's coming up, like other people witnessing or viewing and having that confirmation of other people witnessing something, like you levitating is really the perfect example. And I think, again, I think that happens a lot when when this energy comes in too, and really pushes us into that higher realm, and then we're experiencing that reality in our dream more and more and more frequently. So that theme is really coming up. I experienced a new one. So I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I had a dream like that where I was in a room and it was so real. I'm actually just amazed, like the sun coming in through the window, how clear everything is, and here I am levitating in the middle of the room, right? But just the other week, I didn't get a chance to share it last week, but I had an embodiment dream. It was a very powerful dream. It's a very physical feeling energy moving through you and coming off of you in a very physical way.
mm-hmm,
Like it's like magnetic. You can feel it. You can feel the extension of your energy past your physical form, right?
right,
Um, so I had a dream where I was now the embodiment of what I have now realized is my higher self, and she was shown to me in a dream I had. It would be about 12 years ago now, where it was back in 2008, where she was introduced to me. She came to me in a dream, and it was a very difficult year. I was really concerned, single mom, 3 kids, newly separated. I was really worried about money. I was really worried about a lot of things. And so in the dream, my teeth were all falling out, right? It's a great example of worry, is when your teeth fall out.
mm-hmm,
And I'm holding them in my hands, and they turn into like these black jewels. They're black, but they're like, and I'm trying to put them back in, and I'm so upset. And I walk into this cathedral, and it's crowded full. All these pews are all full. There's a big stage, and there's this woman standing, very much like a Mother Mary sort of. Um, but I don't know, that was, it didn't seem like it was exactly Mother Mary, but there was something about that. Anyways, it was the first time I had ever experienced this sensation and dream, this level of love, like somebody looking at me uh, with that kind of love and compassion on their face.
Mm-hmm.
Had, you know, of course I felt love. You know, I've been loved by my parents and everything else, but this was something completely different in the way that she looked at me and the way that I felt her love and her sadness for my distraction with this, right? She took my hands and she was like, she's like, you don't understand. This is like, she wiped them away. This is nothing. Nothing. There's nothing here for you to be worried about. And she you know, she was crying and I was crying, and she told me, she's like, you have no idea how many people, how many, you know, souls are working on what is about to be born. You know, that's what she said. And you know, she really wanted to impress on me, like, you have no idea this transformation that is coming and what is about to be born. And she was kind of showing me, there was like this kind of stage or whatever, and there's this big sort of dais set up, and in some ways it seemed like sort of like this golden egg, right? And that, and I knew that it was me, it was me directly that she was talking about, like in some way I was that golden egg.
Mm-hmm.
And then so what she said then was, she chanted, and she said, the numbers in purple never lie. And then she had everybody in the cathedral then stood up, and it was like 1,000 voices chanted, the numbers in purple never lie, the numbers in purple never lie. So obviously, you know, since that point, there was more to the dream. I won't get into it, but it was quite a long dream, and she really represent. There was a lot of evidence in the stories that she was representing or showing me. It was like a Jerusalem backdrop to it, and really old, and people were basically like falling to her feet in like praise,
Mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't even want her feet to touch the ground. They wanted to like lie on, like at her feet, so she wouldn't even have to walk on the ground. The adoration and love for her. But she would pick the people up and be like, no, I lie on the ground for you, right? And that was why they loved her so much. Like this, whatever was given to her was given back, you know, even more so. um so at the very the end of the dream, I went to do the same thing. I was just so in awe and so in love that I wanted to lay down at her feet. But again, she picked me up and she said, no, no. Like that was, she was telling me, you are me. You don't need to lay at anybody's feet. Right. So that was a dream I had 12 years ago. So this dream that I had, again, super real, very physical, actually vibrating. And again, waking up into a reality shift, everything had changed. So the first part of the dream was, I didn't remember this when we were talking, it's come back now. um Again, it started where I was waking up in my bed, and it was my room just like it is now, super clear, super real, but the whole energy was changed. The excitement that was flowing through me was like a kid on Christmas morning, was like jumping out of bed, like just excited about whatever I was going to experience that day. I didn't know what I was going to experience. It didn't matter. I was going to experience stuff, and off I was going, right? And it was just this, that whole feeling. Um, and so there was that. And then the next segment of the dream, I'm aware that I'm glowing. I look down at myself, and it's my stomach, like all this area is glowing, like this golden, shimmery. My skin is like all shimmery, and it's giving off this gold light. And I'm like vibrating like crazy. The energy, the love, like everything that's coming out of me is just so physical and so huge. And I know in that moment that I am the Purple Queen, that I have now embodied her. I am now her in that physical form. And um there are, souls before me, like a couple p man, woman, and they were just so wounded from life and the sadness and the pain and the suffering and the loss, and then the loss, and all of that, and how we've all felt. And my empathy and compassion and understanding for them and their experience without any judgment, there was an energetic exchange to that. So I'm feeling the beam, like the core energy of who I am, that's projected out through this beam. It's a circle about this big that comes out here. But what I'm also very aware of is this energy that's pouring off of me. Almost feels like my shoulders or my back, like all of this area, and it's like pouring out of me, like pouring out of my pores, but like thick energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is this compassion. It is this like love and healing compassion, um, that I'm pouring into them, that is taking away their pain, that is taking away the stories of their pain and their suffering, and allowing them to release it and be free of it, and be healed. And I'm seeing them, the weeping, right? Um just the relief, the the relief that they feel, and the love that they feel. And it's this whole energetic process that I'm I'm healing them through this compassion energy, this love and compassion and empathetic energy. And the amazing thing with this feeling too is that it does not take anything away from me energetically. So as much as I'm pouring this out of me into somebody else, I am not losing anything. I'm not pouring all the water out of my bottle. No, it's who I am. There's no limitation to what I can pour. It's not going to run out. If anything, the more I pour, the more I have, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
often when we are in this reality and we give, there's a limitation. We can only give so much. Well, we only have so much money, we only have so much time, we only have so much energy, we only have that we can give out. And then we start to feel like, oh, I'm drained, I'm at a loss, I need to recuperate, I need to rebuild up what I have in order to be able to give again,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's none of that in this experience at all. It is the essence of who I am, and there's no limit to it, and it's a very thick magnetic energy that just pours out. So it was quite an amazing experience, very, very strong, and very powerful. And
Well, I wanted to
um
ask you just
mhm,
about the purple
mhm,
because Jamie's bringing it up, purple being a significant color. And I know that,
mhm.
there's talk of the purple rain or the purple rain as in,
Yes.
REIG, like royalty rain.
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
the phosphorus or this time of rain, the rain that's going to come.
Hmm.
And it's
Well, the chakras, the
right,
rainbow, it's purple's the purple's at the top, right?
right.
Right. It's the higher consciousness. That's the truth. The
It,
divine truth can be found. Divine truth can be found in the higher
so,
state, the higher
so,
consciousness, the higher vibration of light frequency, purple.
So do you think that correlates then with the numbers in purple never lie, like the information
Yeah, it's
coming through the
divine
purple
truth.
ray? never
Yes,
lie?
that's right. Because that language is divine truth.
Right.
Yes,
And I guess that
right?
would be also at the top before the filters, right?
That's right.
Or is that the white? Is that the
Before
crown
the
or the
box.
right?
Before the box.
Right. Before the box.
Hmm?
Sorry, you cut out for a
Yeah.
second. Yes, before the box though.
Hmm. Which is, well, you know what? We can get into that. Some of the, okay, sorry. Which would continue into some, the downloads that I've been getting this week about language and higher dimensional language. Um, and what that is and how it's used to change reality, right? Alchemy.
Hmm.
So I've been getting some really interesting downloads about that, and really, so in that box, in the 3D reality, how we're the story starts level A, B, then we go to a word, right? Then we use
Hmm.
multiple words to construct a sentence. Um, then we go to a paragraph. Then you go to a chapter, and then you go to the whole book. Now, condense information into what is called an archetype, which can then be represented as a symbol. One symbol will now tell you an entire novel or story, right? That's where you get into alchemy, right? That's why the occult uses the language of symbolism. So, and so or this sort of next stage, there's tiers, right? So alchemy, or the next stage, would be above that, what we typically work in, the letters, words, paragraphs, chapters, story. When you get into alchemy, or the next higher, or 5D language, where either polarity can work, in either negative polarity, positive polarity can still work, in this form. And the purpose of alchemy is a conscious spiritual understanding with symbolism, which then allows you to change the form of matter.
Hmm.
So, but a lot of, over the eons, occultists with just materialistic or ego driven intentions can still use the understanding of symbolic, alchemic language to manifest the reality, in a physical form that they want to create. And that's what they do. Ability. And what we're getting downloaded into, or that higher language, there's another tier. There's always levels or tiers above that as you go up into these higher dimensions, right? So, and like on that, obviously, because it's beyond our conscious understanding of what that language, or what was, like Genesis from the Bible, where it says, and you're gonna quote this, I don't know if you can help me out, but where he's, I think we have
Sorry, it's cutting out a little bit. Okay, so you said in the Garden of Eden when he says what?
yeah, I see that. Janet, the word being spoken, like the original word from God, is what creates reality.
Right, right. Yep, that's in John 1 1. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, unless it's changed, but that's what it was last time I checked. Right. But yeah, the Word being spoken and having
That's
this.
right. Right. Sorry. I think we're on a delay. I has that gotten through?
Has that changed? I don't know if it's changed or anything. It should. But yeah, what you were saying. So let me kind of catch people up in case because it broke up a little bit, and you can tell me if I'm sort of speaking, summarizing what you're saying. So where we have the letters and the words and the way we deal with language usually in the book form or the library, there's a level above that, which is sort of a condensed version of this, where symbols can be used to represent, whole books or libraries or whatever. And then at this level of symbols, things can be manifested from either the service to self or the service to others faction. It's not really like anyone's limited at this point. So it could be ego driven, or it can be to help other people, right? And that's at this tier. But you're saying there's higher tiers, correct? Waiting on the delay there. Are you are you just thinking about it? I'm just kidding. Let's see here.
That and, uh,
Actually, do you want to see if you can just
can't
hang up and try to reconnect again?
work past though what I on. Oh, I just do this. Try.
Okay, let's try that. See if we get Michelle back here clear. We had to do this before we went live, dude. Excuse me. I think that'd be better. It got a lot better earlier, so. All right. I think it's. Is that better? Did it get better? I think it might have. Maybe not. Is it
I
snowing
hope
really
so.
bad?
So, yeah, a real lag there. It's snowing like crazy right now.
Yeah, it could be affecting it. So basically, at the level of the tiers, you're saying there's higher levels within these tiers, which are inaccessible to those who are ego driven or service to self, right? It's like out of their reach.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Um, and the original purpose, because what I understand from another dream I had where I was actually, it was another dream, super real lucid, where I actually saw the wave of energy coming in and then felt it hit me and felt very specifically, um, really like the love from God for me, like a full body, every cell of your being. It's beyond explanation.
Right.
But of God like that, the only thing I could even conceive or even think of doing is all of you. I don't background that way. So like I was raised in that environment. In that energy, all I could conceive doing, open my mouth and sing praise. And understood is that
Hey,
original expulsion of
you're the part that you need to, it's getting missed a little bit. Let's try to kill
energy
our
that
cameras really fast and see if that clears it up a little bit.
reality,
If it doesn't have to deliver the
right? The
video,
original
then it
language.
should clear it up. Just turn off our cameras. We'll see if we can get this to catch up.
The picture, sure. Try that so we can get audio.
Yeah, at least get the audio going here. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's much better now.
Let's see
Okay.
if I think our timing's better. Okay.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
hear
Yeah,
me
this
all
is.
right?
Yep. We should have done this sooner. Okay, can you back up a little bit because it was cutting out, and we got
Yeah.
to get this.
Yeah. You let me know because I have no idea what you were able to pick up and what you weren't. So, and I know I've explained this to you a bit before. So if you want to help fill in or tip me off where you want me to go back to.
let's just back up before um, just this whole last segment about the tiers. So we talked about the symbols being used, and then we were going to go beyond the symbols on the different tiers. There's a level where
Right,
they
in
can
the
and then
original word.
right in the original words and how they use symbols to affect things and all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't. Okay, so once you go past the alchemy tier, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to get any kind of download on that because it's not something I can visualize in this consciousness, right? To go a
Right.
tier beyond alchemy at this point, because I mean that we can still visualize. I think good representations of that language would be crop circles, or like the movie Arrival, where they had that language, and as she understood, was able to read this language and how they wrote it, they basically it did exactly what I'm saying. They were telling an all a story, an entire story, sort of all in what at one time, in one symbol. And so as she's deciphering this language and understanding how it works, she starts time itself changes for her. She starts to have memories of the future, right, as well as the past. So it actually unlocks something. So a greater knowledge of these symbols can get more complex, and possibly unlock reality or time, or and how you experience it. Um,
That's really interesting
so
because it's like the language reflects the dimension that you're in. We really need
that's right.
a linear sort of language where we have a beginning and an end, but as we move outside of time into the fourth dimension of time, then we can just kind of get the story all at one time, right? Like in that movie where there was that ring with
Yeah.
all that complexity in it. What was it called? Arrival, you said? And it
Yes.
and then once she began to decipher that language, she began her whole life began her
Yeah.
consciousness was almost be outside of time as well, like the
Well,
language.
she had to change the way she thought, because so that the aliens would write this language. They explained it where it would be like us writing a sentence where you're taking your left hand and you're writing from the beginning of the sentence, and your other hand you're writing from the end, and you're doing it simultaneously. It would be like taking both hands and writing a sentence from one end, in and writing it and doing it all at once,
Hmm.
right? So our minds can't. Yeah, but it changes the way that you think and how you process information, I believe, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what happened. And you're dealing with mass, sort of like we get downloads, these mass packets of information quantified with a small symbol. And if anybody gets downloads, I think they can understand that you'll get like
Like a
sort of
packet.
this initial a packet
Yeah.
of information contained, right?
Hmm.
um and you kind of have to decipher through it.
Yeah.
But
And it can hit
so
you
that
like an epiphany where you just get all of this at once and it sort of
changes how
unpacks
you
and
view reality.
yeah,
And
it's an actual shift.
how you can conceive of how it works together, and the relationship of reality itself, your relationship to reality changes, right?
Hmm.
So there is like we have octaves, like in music,
Hmm.
and the dimensions, there is higher dimensions, right? So that's sort of the alchemaic language that we can still see represented physically, but there are higher languages above that, right? And or the original language itself. It's not language as we perceive it. Language is in this reality. It's much more than that. Like, how can a word create reality, right? In Genesis. So, but what I understand is that original language, the higher dimensional languages, um, can only be spoken, or they come from a place of praise.
Hmm.
The only reason that it ever came into form, or was spoken, was the compulsion to express praise
Hmm.
of God. So because I don't know if this got cut out or not, Shane, but I was explaining about the dream, the one dream where I saw the wave came in and it hit me.
Yeah, say that
And
again because I could tell you were telling that part, but it cut out a lot of it.
okay,
So the wave
so
dream.
so one of the dreams I had about the wave coming in, Um, I actually experienced it hit and experienced very physically the love of God as it just fully it fills every cell,
Mm-hmm.
and a very real present thing loving you. Um, and in that moment and in that experience, it's so much. Um, all I could conceive of doing, all I wanted to do, my only reason for existing was to open my mouth and praise God. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to come from me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in this download and how we get the downloads and connecting dots and everything, as it's kind of showing the packets of information and then it connects them to the different dreams. Like, oh, remember that experience you had? That's because of this. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was really showing to me that these higher what alchemaic language is, and that there's higher tiers above that, and just understanding, sort of conscious understanding of why the sort of polarity or negative polarity can't go past that tier, that 5D level, right?
Mm-hmm.
um and I think in a lot of ways why they're still trying to get us mesmerized with just the 5D. But I think what our potential is so much beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they talk about an alternate sort of inserted agenda into the spiritual world, like as a distraction or siphon off in this change. And I think we have to realize that they do still, have had this alchemaic power, or the power and understanding and knowledge of symbols.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that what's in our DNA is an ability to sing praise to the Lord, like to God, at such a level that's well beyond anything. Like, it snaps us past that. It's a very real part of this energy coming in
Mm-hmm.
that takes us well beyond 5D. I guess we're not limited to this 5D. In a lot of ways, I think this 5D thing is introduced and pushed a bit propagandish, um, because that's still a realm that they can work within.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm seeing is something so far beyond that, that's encoded um, in us, that is this higher language above. What's getting decoded now, as a lot of this sort of knowledge or occult knowledge is opened up to us, in a greater understanding of constellations, astrology, and numerology, all of these different factors that affect our perspective lens of the matrix as we move through it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what's encoded in us is a potential that's far far beyond that,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from a language of praise.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I
it's
think that's
out.
all I have to say about that. Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you look at that, that's a service to others. You know,
Yes.
that's not about praising yourself, right?
Well,
So
when I
I
was
mean,
in
it
embod
technically
yeah.
is, but I mean, you don't realize that when you're service to self. You know what I mean?
Well, when I had the dream of embodiment, to go along with this, where I was in that form of the Purple Queen, it was very much, if I would think, what would it be like to feel like Christ, to have that kind of love and compassion for every soul be pouring out from you? I mean, it really was that experience. And um, sorry, I'm losing.
No, it's beautiful.
Okay, I lost that a bit, but yeah. Anyways, I'll leave it there. I'm getting distracted now. And it's a blizzard outside. I'm like, what's going on? It's like,
I think it's
where's all
really
this snow coming from suddenly?
I think it's really cool because what I'll notice that people will get their information like it's like the feeling, the energy paints a picture in your mind from the experiences that you have, and you kind of come up with these archetypes that are like personalized to how you view life and your experience. So what I find
Mm-hmm.
interesting is it's like you get this sort of vibration of the current condition or the maybe the condition that's upcoming, or you'll just get you'll get it in an
Yeah,
energetic way rather than words or pictures. So
that's right.
because it comes in energetically, you have this way of sort of, painting the picture that best sort of, using your palette of experience, if you will.
That's
So
right.
you'll notice that people will be talking about similar things and stuff, but in their own way. And it's so cool because that's exactly what this whole energetic thing that you're
Yes.
talking about right now. It's that it's very individualized on one
Yeah.
level, you know?
Well, I think the experience of downloads, you know, in a lot of ways it is the transmission of this higher language as well. That's like decoding this stuff. And the more you get familiar with it, the more you get familiar with symbols and archetypes, it just gets easier to decode. It gets faster and faster. It starts to go quantum. Um, yeah, it's quite amazing. It's really hard to express, but in a lot of ways, I think that's how we are getting communicated with. So it's why I wanted to share sort of this understanding of what higher conscious language is and what it's about and how it can actually move through time. Like you said, using these packets of information symbolically can mark a harmonics in space and time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain configuration of energies at a certain point, and it's quantified within a symbol,
Mm-hmm.
and it can allocate in some ways, like understanding of this within our very core can allow us to stretch ourselves out like almost magnetically to through this coil that revolves what time is around us, and can pull these energetic experiences, these packet experiences of harmonics to us, that it is reality itself. I hope this is making sense, guys, because it's a lot of visual information. That's why it's really hard to translate sometimes.
It
But
really
it's
is.
part of this process that's going on, and how we can actually move through time differently, how our higher self actually moves through experiences.
And I think
Gosh, I
another,
could go on about this for now. I could go on about this for ages.
but I think even like earlier on when we were talking about the dreams of levitating, here again we have sort of this energetic feeling that's coming through, and your mind interpreted this uplifting energy as you being uplifted literally, like like
Hmm.
you're levitating, you're floating, and you can tell it's an
Yes,
uplifting energy because that's how your
that's right.
mind interpreted it, and others are interpreting it that way. But somebody else might have got it like a completely different way. Like I felt like I was flying. I had a flying dream or something. Or
Well, somebody else might have an experience where they're having telekinesis with animals
right,
or babies. There's
yeah,
another great example. Like, so there's all different things, right? I think,
right,
we have different, triggers and different things. But
mm-hmm,
the theme itself that, you're in a dream, but yeah, it's so real, and reality statement, like you're like, here, everything's different. I know it's different, it feels, many people have experienced actual vibration, a physical vibration. I think this is really important. As a symptom, I want to say this is really a physical symptom. I'd mentioned it, I've been mentioning obviously over the last little while, but I mentioned a few weeks ago about feeling the actual vibration on my face
right,
and waking up and starting to wake up, and I'm waking up and I'm vibrating. Well, it's pretty much a consistent thing now.
mm-hmm,
And that really has been the message for since I've been getting these dreams and experiencing it, is that that's how you will know. That's how you're vibrating, and it's going to pick up more and more and more until eventually it's like a light switch. Like, and it's just like boom, the bass kicks in. Do you know what I mean?
oh
Like,
yeah,
you're being in one of those cars where it's so jacked up with the bass speakers in the back seat and the subwoofers and everything, and it's under your seat. And your hair actually like, if you have long hair, and your hair actually starts to vibrate out away from your head. I've been in cars like that. Like, your whole body is vibrating. It's a very physical feeling. So that theme, it's happening more and more. It's one of the symptoms, and it's something that's, physically holding true now too. It's filling in the gaps as well. It's more and more.
That's awesome. So, do you expect much of a shift after? I mean, here we are about a week out, I guess, from the U.S. presidential elections, what they term
Mm.
Super Tuesday. So,
Yeah.
do you feel like things changing on the ground are going to change things energetically? I think.
I really think so. I think there could be such a rapid shift come November,
Mm-hmm.
and such um a real dissemination of information on a mass scale. Like this is going to really flip things over. But that the real darkness is going to there won't be much denying it for anybody anymore. So it really is coming out on a huge scale. That's got to have energetic influence, I think, for this energy transition coming in December 21st. Like it's we're going to feel it in some way. There's no way something can not happen energetically. It's massive, and the alignments are there. So we'll see how we experience it. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the flash. I don't know. There's certainly a lot of projections for that, but um
Well, it's a
it's
huge day
definitely calling
anyway.
for
I mean,
something.
it's the
It
winter
is like,
solstice,
my
so
gosh.
regardless,
Ah,
you usually
it's
have some
there's so
huge
many
energy shifts at that
yeah.
time. So, put our
Yeah.
intentions in it. There's no telling what we can accomplish. You know. I,
There really is going to, yeah, energetic, and there really is going to be an energetic shift in consciousness, because as much as people are going to be horrified about the information that they're going to be facing, um the other thing is the band-aid's going to be ripped off, and it's not going to be like it was a few years ago when I found out, and I know many other people found out, sort of about this real satanic agenda, and you find out the horror of it, right, and the horror for the children, and at that time there was no Trump, there was no not like there was no hope, right, and to go through that kind of level of information and horror and realize that it's actually part of reality and not have an idea of how you're going to get out of it. So, at least for these people who are going to have this revelation and find out this information, at least they'll have hope. They'll have many people informed and ready to support them. And um, so I think it's going to, as much as it's going to be painful, it's also going to be very uplifting once they're able to breathe again.
mm-hmm. That's why it's really
And
important that we really stay centered and
yes,
grounded during these
yeah,
times, so that people do have
yeah,
people they can go to talk about stuff, because things
that's right.
can be difficult for others. So.
It's going to be quite shocking, yes, and very very quickly. I think once that election gets wrapped up, um, yeah, I'm not. I don't want to get into any of that stuff
Just have
on
to
here.
wait and
So
see.
yeah, so I don't like to make predictions on air between friends, but I don't like I don't like to get too involved in that anymore. And everybody should just come up to their own conclusions and put the information together for themselves, and that's the most important thing right now. But I can't help but think it's going to have a massive energetic uh lift of energy right in time for Christmas. So we'll
Christmas
see how
time.
we experience it. I'm looking forward to finding out how.
Moving into this every day's a holiday type mentality, right? I like that.
Yeah, I believe so. Certainly is for me. It has been for all. It can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done. It can.
It will be.
Yep.
It will be done. On some
Yeah.
levels, it already
Just let
has
go.
been, right?
Yeah. Just let go of your butts. But let go of all your butts.
Yeah.
Just remember, whenever you say the word "but," means everything else you said before that is what? Bullshit. It's not. It's
Balagna.
BS. Yeah, it's a malarkey. So it doesn't really count. But so always be
Awesome.
aware of your own language. I think that's how I would leave it today in all our discussion about language and higher language. And you know what? At the end of the day, be very aware of the language you speak,
Oh yeah.
and words you put out, and it shapes your reality, and the greater understandings you can have of archetypes and their connections, and what moves and motivates you, actually, the the greater pull, magnetic pull you can have on your own reality and your experience of it. So let go of the stories, you know, in the box that hold the word but, and start moving, you know, sort of like an alchemist through
Yeah.
archetypes, through symbols, through packets of information that hold a resonance, that carry all of the energetic harmonics that you want to experience.
Right.
Right? Let go of the words.
The words are super important. Matter of fact, I've got the whole playlist as a segue to the whole I Am Discourse playlist, which
Oh, yeah.
really helped me take control of my sovereignty. Because really, at the end of the day, you know, we're in control of our experience, and you know, whether we're happy or not is really up to us, despite what's going on all around us. So that's really helped me not
That's
hit
right.
those super low lows. That whole I Am Discourse, and when I
Yeah.
start to notice I'm going downhill, to take control of it right away, because it's way easier to, you know, curve things back around before they get so bad. And you don't want to feel better. You ever feel so bad you don't want to feel better? You're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do the things that's going to make me feel better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so the whole I Am
So,
Discourse really helped me out with that, to really, you know, step into your sovereignty and realize. And then that's where you're going to help others more too, you know? It was when you're at that
yeah.
grounded, centered I Am position, because that's where you realize I am, we are, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody who's, you know, if, kind of holding that sovereign energy in a composed manner, you know, you can walk into a room or approach somebody who's not, and maintain, you know, your energetic field and ground, and
Hmm.
breathe and have patience, and you will watch everybody else's energy come to where you are
Hmm.
and come down to where you are, right? So you
Yeah.
can really hold that light,
Hmm.
um you know, not participate and get pulled into the drama. You know, hold that light till they calm down and join you and sit down and are ready to communicate at a level. You
Yeah.
know.
You know, it's even coming back to me that your dream, it was like you were in that I am point where it wasn't pulling away from your energy at all, you know?
No, not at
It
all.
was
Doesn't.
just you were this conduit for this higher divine love light energy to flow through you and
That's
out to
right.
the people and give them the healing that they needed and the
That's right.
compassion.
There's nothing that anybody can take away from you,
Hmm.
right? You're not losing anything. Nothing's taken away. um
Which
yeah.
I wanted to say, there was something else that you had mentioned, the way the energy came in, like you kind of mentioned, kind of like in like angel wings and at your shoulder
Yeah.
blades and kind of moving through that way. And Brian Scott had just put out this video about this plate, PLAIT thing that is sort of like a
Plate. Yeah.
ponytail, and it
Yeah.
connects in, and you like manifest from that point. So when you were telling me about that dream, I was like reminded of what he was saying, because that's sort of where he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about the braid comes together, and you know, it was just a little
Mm-hmm.
another little connection with something I'd seen recently.
Yeah, another way for somebody else to explain, you know, in some kind of physical way, what it feels like to have these energy currents
Hmm.
running through you, and you know, coming off you, and what it actually feels like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being here
Yeah,
like
bro.
every week. We make it anyway.
Yeah. We do what we can.
Yeah, we do what we
Yeah.
can. And we
Yeah.
will see you guys possibly next week. We'll see how things go. Lots of love, light, and unity
Yes.
to each and every one of you.
Peace.
Peace.
Put my camera back on.
Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.